Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. My name is Mutiara Lailatussubha and today I want to explain the material of central banking. There are four that I will explain today. The first is inflation, the second is monetary policy, the third is the central banking credibility, and the last part is central bank independency. Okay, the first is inflation. What is inflation? The inflation is the condition of economy in a country where there is a tendency for an increase in the price of goods and services in general for a long time or continuously. The inflation occurs when the amount of money circulating in society is more than what is needed. So what caused the inflation? The first is demand pull inflation. This is caused by a strong demand or public attraction for an item. This occurred due to increased government spending, increased demand for good, for export, and for private sector. And the second is cost pull inflation. This is caused by an increase in production costs in a certain period of time continuously. And the third is the high circulation of money. Inflation that occurs because the money circulating in society is more than the needed. And the last is mixed inflation. This inflation is happened because an increase in supply and demand caused by an imbalance between the two. Next is the impact of inflation. The first is impact on income. So, inflation has a positive and negative impact on people's income. In certain conditions, such as a soft inflation will encourage entrepreneurs to expand production, thereby boosting the economy. And the second is the impact on export. This is because export costs will be more expensive because the inflation. And the third is the impact of inflation on the interest in saving. In the condition of inflation, most people interest in saving will decrease. This is because the income from saving interest is smaller, while the customer has to pay administrative costs for his saving. And the last is the impact on the calculation of staple material. The calculation of the fixing of the cost of good will be difficult because it can be too smaller or too large. Then the percentage of inflation that occurs in the future can often not be predicted with accurately. Okay, how to deal with inflation? There is three. The first is via fiscal policy, because inflation can overcome using fiscal policy by regulating government revenue and expenditure. And the second is through monetary policy. Monetary policy, we can use it to maintain monetary stability, to improve people welfare. And the third is through other policy. It is increasing production and the number of goods in the market, as well as setting maximum prices for the several type of good. And then how to calculate the inflation? The calculating the inflation can using by three indicators. First is the consumer price index or CPI, which is the average resulting from changes in the price of goods or services consumed by consumer in certain period of time. The GDP deflator, which functions as an index to show price development in the field of producer, and the wholesale price index or EHPB, which is used to measure prices that occur in wholesale trade. You can see from this the formula of calculating inflation. The second part is monetary policy. So, the definition of monetary policy is the process by which government, central bank, or monetary authority manage the money supply to achieve specific goals. Basically, monetary policy is a policy that aims to achieve internal balance. and external balance, and the achievement of macroeconomic goals, namely maintaining economic stabilization, which can be measured by employment opportunity, price stability, and a balanced international balance of payment. The monetary policy objective is first maintaining economic stability. Economic growth stability is a condition in which country economic growth is going well and according to expectation. And the second is maintaining price stability. Things that are often associated with monetary policy are the money supply and the availability of goods and services. When money, goods, and services are related, the price will appear. This is price need to be maintaining its stability. And the third is increased job opportunity. Good monetary policy will make economic condition good and the value of investment increase. When the investment value increase, job opportunity will be wide open. And the function of monetary policy is, in terms of monetary policy, it is a policy taken by the government to increase and decrease the amount of money in circulation. Next is the instrument of monetary policy. First is open market operation policy. This policy was taken by central bank by increasing or decreasing the circulation of the amount of money. And the second is discount policy. Discount are the government reducing or increasing the money supply by changing the commercial bank discount. And the last is cash reserve policy. The central bank can make regulation to increase or decrease cash reserve or cash ratio. The third part is central bank credibility. What is the credibility of the central bank? The central bank credibility is often identified with one of three things: a strong aversion to inflation, incentive compatibility, or pre-commitment. In some deputational models, the central bank can increase the public subjective probability that is difficult by keeping inflation low. The credibility of the central bank is very important to give in the confidence to the public in the policy taken so that policy effectiveness can be achieved. How to measure the credibility of the central bank? It can be seen by how closely inflation expectations are in line with the central bank inflation target. The closer the two are to a continuous period of time, the more credible the central bank will be. But inflation itself is also important for credibility. If inflation deviated from the target for an extended period of time, expectations lose their capacity to convey a view of credibility. Two features that are important when measuring credibility. The first is identify the credibility stock that is deemed sufficient, and the second is it is important to recognize that through continued failure agent lost confidence in the institution's ability to deliver result. The last part is central bank independency. The definition is central bank that is free from political pressure or government intervention to finance the government budget deficit by creating money. Central bank independency is believed to be able to reduce inflation. Central bank independency is a way to protect policymakers against the temptation of using monetary policy in distortionary way. However, the temptation is not eliminated. This might be a reason why central bank independency appears to be strongly supported by the citizen. The characteristic of the central bank independency is, first, it should be free from the government temptation to increase the ignorance by increasing money supply, and the last is have a price stability goals. Why central bank should be independent? According to H. Finger, 1997, based on public choice theory, explained that the central bank get political pressure from the government to finance government budget deficit through money policy that tends to be loose. The second is when the fiscal authority is dominant, the monetary authority will not be able to control government budget deficit so that the money supply is endogenous. And the last or the third is there is a problem of time inconsistency or time inconsistency when the policy is no longer optimal to respond to the actual plan. And then the independency of the central bank can be distinguished in 5 aspects. The first is institutional independence. That is the position of the central bank institution that is outside the government institution from government interference and or other parties. The second is goal independence. That is the freedom of the central bank in setting the ultimate goal of monetary policy as the translation of the objective set out in law. The third is instrument independency, the freedom of the central bank in using monetary instrument and setting its own operational target or monetary policy to achieve the final target set. And the fourth is personal independency, is the ability and authority of the board of governors of the central bank as a policy-making body to refuse the interference from the government and or other parties in carrying out the task stipulated by law. And last is financial independency. That is the power granted by law to the central bank to determine and manage its budget and asset without parliamentary approval. Okay, maybe that's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.